What's up, guys? So, I'm headed down from a mountain. I'll share a sunset with you. Look at that. It's beautiful. Haven't done one of these videos in a minute now. Headed down from the top of a mountain. Having so much fun as I sing this song. Doing the dance, walking along. And I want to share a certain thought process with you. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and it's about pride specifically. And a lot of us may be prideful and think it's a good thing. Or we may be prideful and not even know we're being prideful. Like looking out and calling that a tree, throwing a label on it. What is more arrogant than that? Thinking we know. Claiming I know, right? Just because I can recall something from memory, which the modern education system has taught us that's what knowledge is, right? Being able to accumulate information and regurgitate it, repeat it. But nowadays, machines can do that a lot better than us, right? You can punch something in a calculator and then spit it out super quick. Artificial intelligence is a lot better at storing information and processing information than, you could say the average human being. So we really want to think beyond just, what we may have been taught in our modern education system, and tune into our spiritual attributes. And one of the most effective ways to do that is to surrender the pride. Surrender the notion that I know just because I can recall something from memory, or because I can look it up on the internet real quick, pull out the smartphone, right? The smartphone's a lot smarter than a lot of us, because think of all the information that we can look up right at the touch of a button, right? The touch of a screen. We can look up all this information, but that doesn't mean we know it. You can really only know something by being it. I was having a conversation with somebody about fasting too, about dry fasting specifically. They were saying, "Oh, that's not good," and I was saying, gently telling them, like, listen, I have a book by Dr. Filanoff. You can order it right on Amazon, right? Touch of a button, you can have anything shipped right to our house, instant access. It's a blessing and a curse, depending on how the user uses it, right? Technology is, it's a blessing, but it can be a curse, depending on the person. Guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns, right? So the gun is not the bad thing. Food is not the bad thing. It's the person who can't control themselves, who has no self-control, right? So you don't want to get it twisted. But I was talking to them about dry fasting. I know I'm kind of going back and forth here. It all makes sense, hopefully. Come full circle, right? Such is life. But look it up. I was just telling them, it's good to be open-minded, good to be receptive, not to claim I know. I know that dry fasting is bad when you haven't even done it. You're not even open to it. When you draw conclusions, claiming you know something, being prideful, right off the bat, without at least a little bit of open-mindedness, right? A little bit of receptivity, willingness to drop conclusions, which are like really a limitation, right? It's sets up an intellectual box that can trap us and keep us limited. And there's something within us that yearns to expand and grow and go beyond self-imposed limitations. Because really, there's that aspect of us that is pure awareness. It's a limitless. That's the nature of consciousness, right? It's all inclusive. It can't be confined to a limited boundary or a body or a memory or intellectual faculty, right? So fasting is a great way to tap into different dimensions of the human experience, to tap into our spiritual attributes, to help us dip into the subconscious and make those thought processes that may have not been conscious. We shed some light, shed some awareness on those thought processes, because what's the ego other than a habitual pattern of thought that hasn't been examined, that hasn't been sufficiently, that we haven't brought sufficient awareness to. So we want to shed some light upon these things, right? What is awareness other than that inner light that is the constant of life, right? So, whoa. Dry fasting, yeah. Dry fasting is great. Personally, I did a 7-day fast, and I know I haven't posted it in a minute. Recently did a 5-day fast, actually, within the past week, so that was a time to really tune in and kind of set the phone aside. Most of the time, it's on airplane mode, and especially when I'm fasting, what's the intention? The intention wasn't to make YouTube videos this time around, but on a 7-day fast, the first 3 days of the fast, and when I say fast, I mean nothing but water, 0 calories, no food, and the first 3 days of the fast, I didn't even drink any water. It was complete dry fast. Now there's soft dry fast and hard dry fast. The soft dry fast is you can expose your skin to water, so you can still take a shower, still take a bath. Your skin, external organ, skin, right? Skin's the biggest organ. I was just naked at the top of the mountain in a secluded spot. It's in November, middle of November, sitting up here naked, taking in the wind, an air bath, right? Opening that heart element. The breath, so important. The nose, straight up to the third eye, right? You want to be conscious of the breath, right? It's very important. Allows us to get in tune with spirit. We can go for many days without food. We can, as I was just saying, go, me specifically, 3 days without water, dry fasting, soft dry fasting. I took a shower and in a bath. Hard dry fasting is when you don't have any water touching the outside of the body. At the most I personally done, like I just said, 3 days. And I was telling this to a person who couldn't seem to wrap their mind around the fact that, there's actually some benefits. And I was telling them, listen, I know from experience, it's not just something I'm hypothesizing or just drawing a conclusion about that I don't actually know. And I not only can go right home and whip out that book for you, but that still doesn't mean that I know. Just because I have a book about it and I've read it and I've went through it and highlighted and internalized it, not just skimmed it and claimed to know it, right? Because knowing is really being. It's incorporating. It's implementing. It's internalizing. making something a part of your being, a thought of your, not only your thought process, but infused in your consciousness, right? We don't see, that's where words can, we often get caught up in words, a lot of us. And consciousness is what we are. It's beyond thoughts. Of course, thoughts are a function of consciousness, right? Intellect is a great faculty for the human being to navigate this worldly reality in terms of physicality in the physical realm, the third dimension. The intellect is great, but that's not the only faculty that is an aspect of consciousness. And if we're overly prideful, we can get caught up in words, right? We can call that a tree, but we don't really know what it is, right? We can claim to know where we are and what we are, what it is, right? We can look at a lake and call it water, but do we really know what it is? Its essence? Can we see beyond our own thought process, the noise, and tap into that stillness and silence, which allows us to really align with the source intelligence, which nevertheless always guides us. God guides the humble. You don't want to think his meekness is weakness. We need not seek to be meek, because it's only natural to be gentle and humble and still and silent, to tune into our inner spirit, let that guide us, to tune into the spiritual heart, right? And certain practices can help us do this. Fasting, getting outside and hiking, tuning in with nature, intelligence that's all around us, wherever we are. Modern buildings are an expression of nature, right? Everything's nature. But at the same time, part of nature and transcendent to it. There's that aspect of us, the pure consciousness that transcends the physicality that we see in this worldly reality. Independent of it, but at the same time intrinsic to it. Gotta love it. It's beautiful. But looping back, talking about being prideful. It's something that many of us struggle with. I know I did, and sometimes still do. You know, catch yourself claiming that we know. I know where I am. Okay. You think you know where you are, but really, let's say you live in New York. Where's New York? New York's in the U.S. Okay, where's the U.S.? U.S. is on planet Earth. Where's planet Earth? Planet Earth is in the solar system. Where's the solar system? The Milky Way galaxy. Where's the Milky Way galaxy? Oh, it's in the universe. Where's the universe? It's in the multiverse. Where's the multiverse? What is the multiverse? We don't know. Right? So we play this game of reference with words and labels and claim that we know because we've identified something intellectually and can recall it from memory. But if we operate with humility, we'll acknowledge the fact that we really don't know. And when we do that, that opens the door to our spiritual attributes. Opens the door to that infinite intelligence, which is always with us, to which we always have access, which is beyond the smartphone. Of course, there's not an iota of creation in which this intelligence isn't intrinsic to or expressing as. But rather than projecting our inner light and awareness onto that which is outside of us, why not learn to tune into and tap into that inner silence and stillness from which we can be conscious of this intelligence as it helps us navigate this earthly experience. It's very powerful. And it's by being humble that we can allow it to guide us. It is a funny thing because it could also be a synonym for I, the inner eye, the all-seeing eye, the eye from which nothing is hidden. Consciousness is constantly conscious. It's infinite, and everything is recorded. There's not a hair on your head that this intelligence isn't aware of. Every single thought, word, and deed. Every single action, every single intention. God's always watching. And it's something within. It's not a guy up there in a chair watching down, looking down on you. Of course, we all have, you could say, an inner genie or angels or certain energy that guides us along our earthly journey. However you want to conceptualize it. There's no right or wrong way, so to say. Anyway, you need to be open and receptive. So that we don't operate as if we're separate. And when I say separate, I'm talking about the one inside you. The one that you engage every day. You may think in terms of left and right, or black and white, or self and other. In terms of duality, right? Check out this sunset. Many of us may think of separation in terms of, politics and this side versus that side. Republican versus Democrat. But when I say separation, I mean the one inside you. The one that is projecting and analyzing and feeling as if this world outside is separate instead of feeling connected. Viscerally sensing that this world's an extension. And we do that. We don't do it. It's natural. It's our natural state. We allow that. We become that. We be that when we're not constantly analyzing the world and dissecting it and picking it apart and thus feeling like we're separate from it. Basically saying me, no, I know this because I can project a label onto it. There's nothing more humble than the human being who has no self-image present, who can simply sit and be aware of the present moment, lovingly aware, the loving witness of the world around us. It's a beautiful thing to be able to sit in that silence. Love you guys. 21. Just looked at 20. Hey, that's 777. That's a lucky number. Repeating numbers. Divine synchronicity. Every day. Tune into it. That inner intelligence. It's always with you. It's always with us. Love you guys. It's getting dark outside. There's always that inner light. Wherever you are. You can't escape it. When you got the light inside, there's no need to fear anything. No need to fear the so-called darkness. I'd say darkness is really not even an aspect of consciousness. So that's an illusion. Fear, anxiety, worry, that all comes from that sense of separation. Which is the mental matrix. Don't get me started. I'm about to end it. Love you guys. I already said it. Repetition.